This is a fanfic originally written by wonderwomanfantasy on Tumblr. Todoroki had no clue how he gained the reputation as a heartbreaker. Sure, he rejected his fair share of girls, but he was under the impression that to be a player, you actually had to date girls. Todoroki didn't have anything against the fairer sex, he just didn't interact with them often, especially in a romantic capacity. He didn't think of himself as cool or suave. The term socially awkward seemed to fit him better. Aside from his stunted personality, he had no idea how he could be found attractive when half of his face was covered in a disfiguring scar. But despite what Todoroki thought of himself, the girls of UA seemed to flock to him. For the most part, he pretended not to notice. He ignored the blush on Yaoyorozu's face whenever he got too close, and he pretended not to hear when Mina ranked him as the top of her hottest boys in class list. Then, when others confessed to him directly, making it impossible to overlook, he rejected them all politely. So Todoroki was at an odd place, to say the least. He had no experience in dating. He could barely hold a conversation with any of his friends regardless of gender, and everyone in the school was convinced otherwise. Kaminari often came to him asking for relationship advice that Todoroki had no way of answering, and even Midoriya had been shocked to learn Shouto had never been kissed. And now that Todoroki did want to ask someone out and break out of his own awkward shell, he had no clue where to even start. Todoroki wasn't sure if he could pinpoint why he liked you. You weren't stunningly beautiful, ranking somewhere in the middle of Mineta's hottest girls in class list, even if you were cute in your own way. And your quirk wasn't the strongest. But he always felt warm when he spent time with you. You never failed to make him smile, and he couldn't help but be upset when your attention was on someone else. Shouto wasn't stupid. He knew he wanted to spend more time with you, and he wasn't completely satisfied by a platonic relationship. He wanted to have a reason to be jealous when Kirishima hugged you, kiss your cheek when no one was looking, maybe even hold your hand as the two of you made your way to class together. He knew he had a crush on you, and that meant he should ask you out. If only he knew how to do it. Asking his classmates was out of the question. None of the boys would be much help, and he was worried that if he went to the girls, it would all get back to you before he had the chance to ask you out properly. So he turned to the internet and fell down the rabbit hole of tutorials on how to ask out a girl, most of which were useless. It was a repetitive river of just be yourself and ask her out directly, which was too generic and nebulous for him. He just wanted a direct and specific list of what to do. Then he finally found what he was looking for. Step by step, Kabedon. In his search for the perfect method to ask you out, he had stumbled across quite a lot of romance anime, and the Kabedon was certainly a staple. It always worked on TV, so why wouldn't it work for him? He read the guide carefully and decided that he would allow himself a day for emotional preparation and practice. Then he would ask you out, and with a little luck, all would go smoothly. Listener, could you come with me for a minute? Todoroki's steady voice made you jump. You were in the common room listening to Mina rant while scrolling mindlessly on your phone. Oh, sure. You gulped, jumping a little too eagerly to your feet to follow him. Your heart hammered in your chest as you went to his side as your mind raced with the possibilities. Did he need you to help with something? Or did he just want to see you? Or worse, had he found out you were secretly in love with him and was planning on rejecting you here and now? You took a quick breath and cleared your head. There was no way that he found out about your feelings. You had been so careful about hiding your crush. You had told no one. You purposefully ignored him sometimes as to not seem too into him. You had been so careful. No, he would ask you to lend him your textbook or something else boring and mundane. The two of you were friends after all. Before you could even think of another possibility, you were slammed against the wall. Maybe slammed was the wrong word. You were forcibly shoved against the wall, but in an almost gentle and considerate way. Todoroki cupped the back of your head and your shoulder, cushioning your blow as he backed you up. His hand slid out from your head and pressed against the wall right by your cheek. Suddenly, his other hand landed with a thud right by your head, making your heart skip a beat. You felt your face heat up as you stared into his calm two-tone eyes. He was so close. You could feel his breath beat against your neck. You dropped your gaze and tried to shrink away from him, but he slid down with you, not letting you escape his intense eyes. Todoroki's heart was going wild in his chest. He was so close to you, it was maddening. And what made it even better was the fact that you seemed just as affected by his presence. He almost forgot the next part of his confession, but then your eyes flicked up to meet his, and he was able to get himself back on track. He forced the corner of his mouth up in an uncharacteristic smirk and prayed that it didn't look creepy. He had spent a good hour last night practicing the smirk. "You're cute, you know that?" Todoroki whispered, making your face glow a brighter shade of red as a small squeak escaped your lips. You really were cute like this. Shouto leaned in, almost as if to kiss you, but stopped short. He didn't miss how your eyes dropped to his mouth and stayed there. He wondered if you were thinking about closing the distance between you. You were just about to lean in and press your lips to his when Todoroki spoke again, shocking you out of your daring plan to kiss him right there in the middle of the hallway. "Go out with me." It was more of a demand than a question. Still, you managed to choke out a response. Okay." He smiled softly, straightening up and dropping his arms. "Excellent. Tomorrow after class then," he decided. You just nodded. He turned to leave, but then seemed to remember something and looked back at you. "You smell nice," he complimented before leaving for good. He just sank to the floor, covering your face with both hands, and tried to still your racing heart. But every time you closed your eyes, all you saw was that damned smirk. Todoroki cupped the back of your head and your shoulder, cushioning your blow as he backed you up. "Back it up like a dump truck." But then your eyes flicked up to meet his, and he was able to get himself back on track. This next line. Oh no, oh no. Oh boy. He forced the corner of his mouth up in an uncharacteristic, god dang it. I can't say this line. Phew. Why am I so flustered? Oh. Why can't I say this line? It's such an innocent line, I can't say it. Oh my god. Stop stalling. Some people might ask me, Reina, why are you making such a big deal of such a cliche in fanfiction and anime? It's just Kabedon. And I tell them, shut your mouth. You are talking to a girl who has been touch-starved ever since quarantine started. I am lacking my dose of affection, so anything goes at this point. So if you're not here to give me a hug or hold my hand or whatever the fuck, I don't want to be talking to you. Because this girl is 1, baby, 2, thirsty, 3, salty, and 4, in desperate need of attention. And if that desperate need of attention requires me being slammed against the wall, then so be it, honey, because I will take what I can get. In all seriousness though, that rant was just in good fun. But then again, I actually wouldn't mind being Kabedon, right now.